Hi, it's Lori from Coast to Coast Craft Girls, coming to you from the West Coast. Today I wanted to share a fairly simple but really pretty card. You're looking out the window at this gorgeous scene with some little flowers in your flower box. And if you have a window die, that works, but I made my own windows and I'll show you how. But love it. It's very simple, but it just really highlights the scene on that paper. And I love that. So let me show you how it's made. So I'm going to start by making my windows. So I need 2 of them, and I've already got one done, but I'll show you how I made it. So this piece of card is 2 3/4 by 3 1/2, and I scored at 1/4 inch. And you're just you want to get that going both ways. Okay. Now I'm going to take my paper trimmer and I'm going to cut the center out. If you had a die that fit, that would be great. I do not. So all you do is I've got my paper trimmer. I'm going to put this at 1/4 inch and I want to cut the inside of that at up to 1/4 inch from the edge. And I never get it exactly right. I cut close and then I finish it with my craft knife. So I get relatively close. And you're just going to go all the way around the same way. And this one, because of that 1/4 inch score, you got to go to 1/2, but looks pretty good. Now you can see where those corners are not quite touching. I'm just going to finish it up with my craft knife. That one I was darn close. Pop that out. So there's my window frame. Then I've just got some 1/4 inch strips, and I'm going to work on the back of my window, and I'm going to put let's see, I'm going to put strips across at these, because it's basically 3 inches in the middle. So I'm going to put a strip across here at each inch and then one down the middle. So I use my glass mat to measure, and I find that to be the easiest. And you just kind of go, put a dot of glue there, 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 there. You can measure these, but what I did is I just cut them out of scraps, and then I'll trim off the extra. So just use your glass mat and just make sure you don't put them over that score line. Just try to get it straight. Doesn't have to be perfect, but you want it to look fairly straight, otherwise your window pane's going to look crooked. And then I'm going to put one down the middle. And then you can just trim off that extra card. And there's my paned window. I actually do have a window die from Spellbinders, but it wasn't the right size, so I figured I'd just make my own windows. And the reason I did it this way is now my windows will open. my my window, because it's going to go like this, and they'll open, which is what I want. Okay, so now I'm going to mount that on a 5x7 card. So I've just got a 5x7 card base, and I've got, this is going to be, the card is going to look like you're in the house looking through the window outside to this beautiful scene. So I've got to cut, so my walls on the inside of my house are going to be light blue, and not very much of this is going to show, but I wanted it something other than white. And I've got to cut an aperture that my window frame is going to set over the top of, like this. And I'm going to cut it not quite that big, but you basically want to measure your window, and you want to cut a little bit wider than that, just so that it doesn't show, because you're going to cover it up with your window frame information anyway, or your window sills. And you want to cut from basically 1 inch in, and this piece of card, the blue, is 5x7. So from 1 inch in down to the 6. And this doesn't have to be perfect because it's not going to show. Okay, so there's my aperture. That's going to go on my card, and then my windows are going to sit right inside of that aperture, like that. Okay. And then I need my scene that's going to sit behind my window. So this is some paper from Papers by Michelle, Michelle McCarthy Crafts. It's Where Country Gardens Bloom papers. And this piece is 8x8. And so I want to decide which part of this scene do I want to see through my window. So I think I'm gonna probably, I think I want to see more of that house, and I'm just gonna mark this. With my pencil. Okay, so that's going to be my scene through my window. Is that beautiful house, cute little cottage. Okay, but it's going to go on here like that, and then this I'm going to put on there with some foam pads to raise it up. But I'm going to go ahead and glue this on. And that's going to go on there. But before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and build my window on here. So my little 1/2 inch or my 1/4 inch tabs are going to glue onto the outside. And then I want these to meet in the middle. That looks pretty good. Or my aperture. So see, my windows open, which is exactly what I want. Now I cut some strips. There's one that's 3/4 inches wide, and the rest of them are 1/2 inch wide. And my 1/2 inch strips are going to go on the top and the sides of my window. And I'm just building basically a window frame. It's going to go like this here across the top. And then my 3/4 inch strip is going to go on the bottom with a 1/2 inch strip on top to kind of make it look like a casing window or something, a casement window. Now this one, I want to extend beyond my window because I want my windowsill to come a little bit beyond there. Okay, and now you can see that why I say not very much of the blue shows, but that's fine. So I'm going to come, let me just measure it. So edge to edge is just about 6. So I want 6.5 because I want a 1/4 inch on each side. And then I'm going to put some foam tape around the outside. Now before I put that on, I've got these embellishments. These are Anna Griffin embellishments, and I'm going to put these on the outside of the window like this to make it look like there's you know, window boxes or something with flowers on the outside. And these came like this with like the pots, and I'm just going to cut those pots right off because I don't need those. Make sure I get the bottom of my window. Get some glue. And I want it right up against that tape on each window pane. Now I can peel my foam tape off. Now see, I've got my window with my windows that open. I've got my little flowers with like flower boxes on the outside of the window. And then all you need really is a sentiment on there. I just think it's beautiful. So pretty. Your window opens to that gorgeous scene. And now if you don't want your windows to open, you don't have to. You could just cut it flat, but I like the looks of that. And if you wanted to do some more decoration on the inside, I thought about putting some curtains on there. But I think I like it just the way it is. So anyway, thanks for watching.